Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to dive into 10 huge tips for Instagram stories and helping you to come up with not only great ideas for your stories, but ideas and things that you can do that will actually really help you to drive engagement and get more reach with your Instagram stories. These are things that I have been implementing recently into my own brand over at Stephanie Lynn Case on Instagram. And so yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into those tips. Before we do, real quick, I do have a free class on Instagram Reels, how to grow your reach, followers, and customers with Reels. So if you've never signed up, the link will be right below this video. And let's go ahead and jump in. Tip number one for having better reach with your Instagram stories is to actually start your stories with a poll. So like at the beginning of the day or at the beginning of a series of stories that you're going to post, if you use a poll to have your audience engage with your story, answer a question, give a this or that, or something along those lines, I've seen that dramatically increase the number of views that I get on not only that story, but the stories following it. Adding a poll like this is just a really easy way to easily drive interaction, not only in getting your audience comfortable with interacting with your account and then interacting with you further, whether it's through like comments or question boxes and things like that, but for whatever reason, it's almost like a little magical thing that you can do before, if you're posting a story that you want to reach a lot of your audience, post a really simple story with a poll first, whether it relates to that thing. Like for example, sometimes if I share new YouTube videos on my stories, what I'll do first is ask, hey, have you ever wondered how to do this? Yes or no, or something like that. And then the next story will say, if yes, tap over to my new YouTube video instead of just posting the video. And I've seen that dramatically increase not only the number of clicks that I get, but also the amount of people that it's reaching, which is super cool. All right, the second thing that I want to give you guys, second tip I want to give you guys is to let your stories actually run out. So let your stories completely run out. Stories stay on your stories for 24 hours. And I've actually seen sometimes if I just let my stories completely run out and almost start fresh with a new set of stories, on a new day, that I actually see more views than if I were just to continue posting over and over or super spread out over the course of a day or two. So that's another tip I have for you. If you're seeing low story views and if you're someone who does post on stories like every single day without fail, maybe try not posting for a day and see what happens. And I also just want to give you permission here. It's kind of a nice permission slip to let yourself not post on stories every day and that it's totally going to be okay. And that sometimes doing that is actually going to help boost your story views when you go to post that first story, when you don't have any other stories kind of blocking it, if that makes sense. So you've already posted like maybe 6 hours ago or 22 hours ago or anything like that. When you post it, it's instantly just going to get pushed out as the first story to your audience. And sometimes that can be a nice little boost and can actually help to boost your story views. Tip number 3 is to actually tease upcoming, reels that you're gonna post or Instagram posts in your stories. So this isn't necessarily something that it might not like necessarily boost your story views. It will in the sense like long term, because your audience is gonna wanna make sure they're checking in on your stories to get a preview of, the things that you're gonna be posting. But it can also actually really help with your post and reels engagement, and not something you have to do every single time by any means. But say there's a reel that you want to post where you are sharing the behind the scenes of you at a photo shoot, or maybe you're sharing a thrifting haul or something like that. What you can do is actually tease it a little bit in your stories. Maybe share a quick boomerang of a few of the things that you thrifted, or maybe share a short behind the scenes video in your stories and tell your audience that the final image is going to be posted in your feed later that day or the next day or something like that. And so that can be a really fun idea if you're having trouble coming up with ideas for stories that can be engaging, or if you overall just want to boost your stories views or your Instagram post engagement. That can be something fun that you can incorporate into your Instagram strategy. The fourth tip to boosting your stories is to mix up the type of content that you're posting on your stories. So what I mean by this is, you don't necessarily want to have 20 story slides in a row of you just talking to the camera, right? Like, think about it from your consumer's perspective, or the people who follow you and who are consuming your stories. What's going to make it the most interesting, right? Probably not 20 stories in a row of you sitting in the same spot talking to the camera. Probably maybe, you do 2 or 3 slides of you talking to the camera, and then maybe you post a photo, and then maybe you post a boomerang, maybe you post a video behind the scenes later, and then maybe you do a poll or something like that. Like, mix up what you're using. Not only is your audience going to find that a lot more engaging, but Instagram's gonna love that you're utilizing a lot more of their features. And in general, it's just best practice to be using as many of Instagram's features as you can. So I would recommend, just keeping that in mind. Even think about the idea, like when you are filming like you're talking to the camera in stories, it doesn't let you film more than 4 story slides in a row. And while it is kind of a pet peeve of mine, it's a little bit annoying. I think Instagram does that intentionally because they're trying to hint you probably shouldn't have more than like 4 stories in a row of a video that you're filming, like in the same spot or doing the same thing. Like, try to mix it up a little bit. So not that you can't ever do that, but just keeping in mind that the more of the same type of content you are posting in your stories, the less views you're probably going to have, because the more people that are probably just going to tap out, Instagram's going to pick up on that and push your stories to fewer people in your audience. So just making sure you're doing a good job mixing up the content. Again, think about the idea. It's supposed to be a story, right? Like, what can you do to make it interesting? And one thing to make it interesting is to mix up the types of content that someone would be consuming on your story. All right, so number 5 is actually an idea for you, and it is to have some Q&A on your story with your audience. So if you're trying to come up with ideas or trying to boost your engagement or get your audience to talk back to you, doing some Q&A can be really fun. And I also want to say here that you can do a general Q&A, so you could just like throw up a question box and say, hey, I'd love to do some Q&A today, ask me anything. But something that I've seen work better, especially if you're a smaller account or if your audience isn't really used to engaging with your account yet, something that I think works even better is doing more of a themed Q&A. So think about your niche, think about who you offer, the types of people that follow you. Having a Q&A centered around a certain topic, it can actually help give people ideas on what to ask you versus just a general Q&A and they're not really sure what in the world they would even want to ask. So for example, for me, I could do a Q&A on Instagram Reels. I could do a Q&A on, our journey into becoming parents. I could do a Q&A on Instagram in general. I could do a Q&A on launching stuff. So just think about what makes sense for your account and what would help them to think of questions that they might want to ask instead of just having a general Q&A. Because if you've tried a Q&A before, especially in the beginning, sometimes it can be hard to get your audience to actually ask questions. But if you niche it down a little bit and have a certain theme around it, that can actually do way better. All right, so number 6 is to actually limit the amount of link stickers that you are using on your stories. And okay, so I just want to say that I'm not saying link stickers are bad, and it was like such a big deal now that Instagram has released the ability to add links to your story no matter how many followers that you have. So you no longer have to have the coveted 10,000 followers on Instagram in order to add links to your stories, which is super cool. But the one thing I do want to caution you on this is to limit how many links you're using and to not add a link to every single story that you're posting, or, just keep in mind, make it as organic as possible and don't overdo it. So especially when we think about for Instagram, they don't necessarily want a ton of people leaving their app 24/7. And if you're adding links to literally all your stories and people are constantly clicking them and leaving their app, it's just generally not going to help to keep your account front of mind for your followers and for your followers to actually see more of your content. And so while we want to be strategic, right, and if we're using Instagram to grow a business or a brand, we want to for sure be using those link stickers, but use them strategically. Don't, overdo it on link stickers. I found that especially if I don't do, like going back to the poll idea, if I don't do like a poll before a link, or if I don't preface it well enough, then I find that my story views are way lower whenever I add a link sticker. So just something to keep in mind, not that views and reach and everything are everything, but just making sure that you are not overdoing it or going crazy now that you have access to link stickers. Number 7 is to actually look back on your past stories, insights, and to see what exactly has worked well in the past so that you know what to do more of in the future. So what I mean by this is you can actually go to the insights on your Instagram and you can see past stories, what got the most reach, what got the most views, what got the most engagement, what got the most replies, and you can see what actually worked well on your account in the past, and that can help you to guide your content. And when it comes to stories, looking at specific stories and what have done well and what kind of stories you might want to make. And I actually have a full video on my channel that we came out with recently all about Instagram insights. So we'll be sure to link that right below this video and put a link to it right up here. I can't remember if it's the side or the side, something like that. We'll have the link available. So if you want to hop over there after this and watch the video, like exactly how insights work, where to find them, how to analyze them, all of that stuff will be in that video. Number 8 to helping to boost your story views, engagement, all of that is to ask for your audience's opinion on something. So this is actually, you could even use polls to ask for opinions. You can use quizzes to ask for opinions. And this can be a really fun way to start getting your audience to interact with you, especially if you're a newer account and they're not necessarily used to just dropping questions in a random Q&A box, right? And so this can be a really fun way to drive interaction. I mean, think about just people in general. We love to give our opinion on things. Even if it's something as simple as what should I have for breakfast this morning, or what color bandana should my dog wear, or I don't even know. There's so many different things you can do with this when it comes to using polls, or even, maybe it is one where you're talking to the camera and then you have like a question box that asks for their, recommendations on something. Maybe you're traveling somewhere. Like, think about ways that you can ask for your audience for their opinion on things, because I think that's a really easy way to naturally tap into what we naturally love to do as humans, which is give our thoughts, opinions, ideas, advice on things, and you can incorporate that into your story content, however it makes sense for your brand. And I've seen that when I do that, I actually have some really great reach on my stories, and not only that, but engagement and comments and responses and things like that. Number 9 for boosting your stories and coming up with great ideas is actually more of an idea, and it's to link to new content that you're sharing on other platforms, or to new offerings in your business, or just things that you offer in your stories. So going back to when I talked about those link stickers, again, we don't want to overdo this, right? But if we are on Instagram and we are trying to grow our brand, our business, it's okay to share about what we offer in our stories. Maybe you have a day one week where you're like, I just don't have anything going on. I don't really know what I want to share on Instagram stories. You can think about, what are the things that you offer? What are the things that you could do that if someone follows you on Instagram and isn't aware of your products, isn't aware of your services, isn't aware of even an affiliate link that you have, right? Use that as an opportunity to share about it on your stories. And so if you're trying to come up with ideas, at the end of the day, if you are running a business, you want to make sure that you're incorporating what you offer into your content, right? And try to fit it in as organically as possible. But if you're able to do that, that can be a really great idea to not only, when we're thinking about stories, views and engagement isn't the only metric that we can look at. We can also look at, how is Instagram helping? I want to say like aid our business. I feel like that's not the right word. It's like helping, I don't know what the word is, but helping our business, helping to serve our business. I feel like that's a good word. Helping to serve our business in a really awesome way, by not blasting every day, like being salesy every day, right? But it's okay to naturally incorporate that into your content as it makes sense. All right, and then number 10 here is honestly like just an overall wrap up of everything that I have said. And something just to keep in the back of your mind as you are creating stories is to simply think of your stories as a story. So this might seem really simple, but I think it's something that we can easily forget. And it's just the fact that obviously Instagram stories is called stories for a reason. And if we are able to approach creating stories as a way to, document, share with our audience, connect with the people who currently follow us and love our brand, and and almost like curating what you're sharing on stories so that it, flows together, that you're having a general theme. I even like to think sometimes, and some days when I share on stories, I like to almost think of it as a series, right? So, from the start of my day to maybe the end of my work day, sharing different things, having, mixing it up, and going back to the idea, doing different types of content, keeping it interesting. Maybe you can even take this a step further. If you're someone who needs more structure to be able to post on stories every day, thinking about, what's like a general topic or idea or thing you want to talk about on your stories for each day of the week, and you can plan that out so that you have content basically that you can create when you're storying that day. Like you can center it around almost a theme, right? So for example, maybe I have a day like today where I am filming YouTube videos, and I could share at the beginning of the day like myself getting ready. I could share real quick like what camera I'm using. I could share behind the scenes of me actually filming. I could share a little bit then of my process. Maybe then this jumps to like a video of me sharing how I upload footage to my hard drive, and then I could ask if anyone has any questions about filming for YouTube. So it's using a lot of different types of content, like, and getting my audience to engage with the content. I could even at the beginning of the day say, hey, would you guys want to see behind the scenes of me filming YouTube videos? This is actually a really good idea. I probably should do this soon, but yeah, so if you want to have a more structured approach to it, you could think through like what are the things you're going to be either doing in your brand. Maybe you have a photo shoot day coming up, or maybe you have a day where you could be packaging products all day, or maybe you are working with a client one day, or maybe you're shooting for a brand one day. Like think about how you can document that on your stories and almost drag it out and create this story. And not that it has to be this super structured thing all of the time, right? But if you're someone who struggles to show up on stories, it can be a really fun way to help you and just help you become more comfortable using stories, trying out different things, seeing what resonates with your audience. You can also use stories to document your life in a more personal way. So that's what I try to gravitate towards with stories for myself, because I have a very personal brand. And for me, Instagram is more focused on connecting with my audience personally versus it being about my business all of the time. And so I focus a lot more just like on the personal side of things. So for example, like as a more personal example, maybe I am going on a date night with my husband. I could ask, help in choosing what outfit to wear. I could do like a poll, like should I wear this outfit or this outfit? And then maybe I take a quick selfie with my husband. And then maybe when I get to the restaurant, I ask for opinions on, like take a picture of the menu and ask for opinions on what I should eat. And then I post a photo or like a little video of us of like the food once it comes, and then swooping up to Michael. And so, you just think about ways, how can you like document what you are doing or what you are sharing and almost having it make sense in a story. And I will be the first to admit that I am not the most consistent at this. It's not something that I think about doing all of the time, but as much as I can, I do prefer to have almost like little sets of stories. So at least like 3 to 4 slides around a certain topic, around sharing about a certain thing, versus just randomly posting one story, if that makes sense. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Seriously, it means the world to me. If you haven't already signed up for that free Reels class, be sure to do that right below this video to help you grow with Instagram Reels. And yeah, I think that's about it for today, but thank you guys so much, and as always, subscribe, like this video. I feel like I always forget to say that, but both of those things help to support my channel for more people to find me on YouTube, so it's honestly so helpful, even just hitting the like button. So if you can do that, that would be amazing, and I will see you guys in next week's video on Tuesday. Bye guys.